Hello, I'm Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Blueford branch of the Kansas City Public Library, and I'm reading Pindar's odes this April in honor of National Poetry Month and the Olympics. This poem today is a fairly long one, so we're going to get fairly quickly to it. The poem seems to have been commissioned by the victor's brother, who was in exile, in hopes of getting back in the king's good graces. It seems not to have worked, and the king came to a bad end fairly soon, within a few years of this poem. There was a revolution, and he was overthrown. So the figure of Battus will make an appearance. Battus, of course, is the traditional founder of, the actual founder of the city of Cyrene, and Jason and the Argonauts will also make an appearance, but this is in Pindar's way, which is not in any sort of linear way. So this is Pythian 4 from 462 BCE for Arcesilas of Cyrene for his victory in the chariot race. Today, Muse, you must stand by the side of a friend, by the king of Cyrene, the land of good horses. And when Arcesilas holds his triumph, swell the gale of your songs, paying your debt to Leto's twins and to Pytho, where once, when Apollo was in his land, the priestess, she who sits by the gold eagles of Zeus, ordained Battus, a leader of men, into fruitful Libya. He must straightway leave his holy island and build the city of charioteers on a silver breast of the earth. To bring back the word of Medea in the 17th generation, which at Thera, once Aeetes' terrible child, breathed from immortal lips, the Colchians' queen, and thus she spoke to the seed of gods, to the sailors of Jason the fighter. Hear, sons of high-hearted men and of gods, I tell you, from this wave-beaten land shall go a stock, and shall beteem the daughters of Epiphus, and cities shall rise, and the world know it, in the place where Zeus Ammon stands. Instead of the short-finned dolphins, they shall have swift horses, and reins for oars. They shall drive the storm-foot chariots. The omen that shall make Thera mother city of mighty cities was given where Lake Tritonus flows to the sea. To Euphemus once, a guest gift from the god in a man's likeness, a clod. Euphemus, alighting from the boughs, took it, and Father Zeus, the son of Cronus, well pleased, rang out in thunder. He found us sleen the bronze-jawed anchor beside the brow, swift Argo's bridle. I had bidden them haul her, our sea timber ashore, and he had borne her from ocean 12 days across earth's lonely ridges. Out of his solitudes then the god appeared, clothed in the bright shape of a reverend lord, and friendly words he began, as a good host when strangers come begins with his offers of supper. But we spoke of our sweet road home and could not stay. He told us his name, Eurypylus, son of the undying shaker and holder of earth, and he knew our hurry, and there and then took a clod in his right hand, fain to offer what gift he could, and the hero did not refuse it. He leapt to the beach, and clasping hand in hand, took the piece of each divine. But a wave broke, I hear, and washed it overboard into the sea. At evening, and it went with the waters of the deep. Oh, often I bade the servants we had for our ease keep it safe, but their souls forgot. So now against this isle has been washed the undying seed of Libya's wide meadows, out of due time. For had he come home and cast it beside hell's mouth in the earth, had he come to holy Tyneros, he, Euphemus, son of Poseidon, the captain of horse, born on Caphis's bank of Europa, Tityus's child, then the blood of his grandsons after him, with the Danaan host, had taken that wide mainland. For then, behold, men coming from great Lacedaemon, from the Gulf of Argos, and from Mycenae. But now he shall lie with foreign women, and get a chosen race, who shall come to this island. For the gods will care for them, and have a son to be lord of those dark clouded plains. Him one day in that gold-stored house Phoebus shall tell in oracles, when in later days he comes to the Pythian shrine to carry cities in ships to the land where Nalos dwells, the son of Cronus. Medea's words filed past, and the godlike heroes kept silent and still and bowed their heads, listening to her deep wisdom. O happy son of Polymnestor, to you, as was here foretold, the oracle of the Delphic bee gave glory in her unprompted cry, bidding you 3 times hail, for shown Cyrene's king to be. You were asking about your stammering tongue, might the gods release you, and later in time, even today, their flowers, as when spring puts out her reddest blossoms, the 8th generation, Arcesilas. He has got from Apollo and from Pytho a name for chariot driving among the people around. I will offer to the Muses him and the ram's fleece of gold. For the Minyai sailed to find it, and from that root sprang up the honors of the house about whose going is God. What was the beginning of their voyage, and what danger held them in strong adamantine bolts? It was appointed that Pelias must die by the hands of Aeolus's proud sons, or their relenting counsels. A prophecy came to him, chilling his wary heart, spoken at the midmost navel stone of earth, fair forested mother. Let him beware at all costs, the man with one sandal, when he comes from the steadings in the hills to the sunny plains of great Iolcus, stranger be he or townsman. In time he came, with 2 spears, a terrible man, and he wore 2 kinds of clothing. The garment of the Magnesian land fitted close on his marvelous limbs, and a leopard skin over it kept off the shivering rains. His bright locks of hair, not cut and cast away, flamed all down his back. And at once, when he came, he stood testing his never-flinching heart where the people thronged in the main square. None knew him, yet despite their amazement, thus spake one. This is not Apollo, I think. No, nor Aphrodite's bronze-charioted lord. And they say that in bright Naxos the sons of Medea died, Otis and you, daring lord Ephialtes, and the swift arrow of Artemis caught Tydeus, sped from that unconquered quiver, that a man be fain to choose attainable loves. So they spoke one to another in question and answer, but then drove up, with his mules and burnished car, Pelias, in headlong haste. Amazed at once, he stared and knew well the single sandal on the right foot. But he hid his fear in his heart and said, What sort of country do you say is yours, O stranger? And pray, what gutter-bred wench dropped you from her aged womb? No lonesome, filthy lies, but tell me your race. And the other answered without fear and gently, Chiron I name my master, and men shall see it. I come from the cave, from Chariclo and Philyra, the centaur's holy daughters who nursed me. I have brought 20 years to an end, and in them have done, nor said, nothing to shame me. And I have come home, claiming the ancient honor of my father, now against right overruled, which Zeus once gave to Aeolus and his sons. I am told that Pelias, the transgressor, gave way to his pale heart and stole this by force from my parents, who ruled of right. When the sun first opened my eyes, they feared that violent prince's malice. So they darkened the house and made a keening as if I had died. And amongst the wailing of women, stealthily they sent me away in swaddling bands of purple, and night knew the secret of our road. So they gave me to Chiron, Cronus' son, for nurture. You have heard the sum of my story, but where is the house of my fathers that rode white horses? Good citizens, tell me clearly. I am Aeson's son, a man of the land, nor am I come to a strange country belonging to others. By my name Jason, the godlike beast, addressed me. He spoke, and when he went in, his father's eyes knew him, and tears welled down from his old eyelids, for in his soul he was glad, seeing his chosen son, the fairest of men. And his 2 brothers came to that house at the fame of the man. From near Pharos came, leaving the fountain, Hyperia, from Messana, Emithaon, and soon Admetus came, and Melampus, for their hearts yearned to their cousin. With due feasting and with honey-sweet words, Jason, their host, made pleasant entertainment and long stretched-out delight, 5 nights without ceasing, and 5 days, gathering the great luxurious hours. But on the 6th day, with sober words, he let his kinsmen know all from the beginning, and they gave him heed. And he leapt up quickly from his couch, and they with him, And they went to Pelias's hall, and made haste and stood within. When the king heard them, himself came forth to them, the son of Tyro, lovely-haired queen, and Jason with soft voice let smooth words fall, laying a foundation of wise speech. Son of Poseidon of the rock, the hearts of men are perhaps too quick at choosing a smart advantage rather than right, though the next day the taste is wry in the mouth. But I and you must rule our wrath and weave our future fortune. You know as well as I, one womb both Cretheus and Salmoneus, hardy and cunning, from whom in the third generation ourselves sprang, who look on the golden strength of the sun. The fates recoil, when men of one blood hating each other lose sight of shame. We must not take, you and I, swords of biting bronze or javelins to divide our father's honors. The sheep and the tawny herds of oxen I yield you, and all the fields which you stole from my parents and live on, fattening your substance. Nourish with these your house. It irks me little. But there is the scepter of absolute rule, and the throne on which the son of Cretheus sat and gave straight judgments to a people of horsemen. To spare both of us sorrow, let me have these, and no fresh evil come of them. So he spoke, and gently too Pelias answered him, I will do as you say, but already the sear end of life attends me, and your youth bursts into flower. You have power to lay the wrath of those in earth. Phrixus is calling. That someone redeem his ghost, and going to the halls of Aeetes, fetch the thick piled fleece of the ram, by whom he was saved of old from the sea, and from the godless knives of his stepmother. A marvelous dream came and told me of this. I have asked the oracle of Castalia, shall I follow this up? And he bids me find at once a crew for a ship. Achieve this task, so please you, and I swear I will let you be sole ruler and king. Let him be our strong oath, Zeus the witness, the father of both our races. So they approved this covenant, and these two parted. But for Jason, already he was sending messengers everywhere that a quest was afoot. And soon there came, that never tired of battle, the son of Zeus Chronidas, of Alcmene, of the dancing eyelids, and of Leda, and two tall-crested men, the earth-shaker seed, in the proudness of valor, from Pylos and Cape Tyneros. Fair was their fame that they won, Euphemus, and you, strong Periclymenus. From Apollo's house the lute-player came, the father of songs, ever-worshipped Orpheus. Hermes of the golden wand sent his twin sons to that long stretch of labor. Echion one, O loud exultation of youth, the other Eretos. Quick came two who dwelt round the roots of Pangaean. For gladly with laughing heart and swiftly their father Boreas, king of the winds, sent Zetes and Calais, men, yet scarlet feathers ruffled upon their backs. And in these sons of gods Hera kindled the all-persuading sweet desire for the ship Argo, that none be left behind to nurse at his mother's side a ventureless life, but, even though he die, find in his own valor the fairest enchantment, with others young as he. They came to a port of Iolcus, the finest of sailors, and Jason marshalled all, and approved them. And the seer Mopsus, that watched the gods' will for him in birds and holy sortilege, bade with good heart the host be started. They hung the anchor over the prow, and then the captain at the stern held in his hands a gold cup, and called on the father of the sons of heaven, Zeus, whose spear is the lightning. On the swift rushing of the waves, the winds, on the nights and the paths of the sea. For days of kind weather, and the sweet road home at last. From the clouds answered back to him the assenting voice of thunder, and the lightnings flashed and tore the sky. The heroes found fresh breath of courage, for they believed the omens of God. The seer of signs called to them to fall to the oars, and he put sweet hopes into them. Under their rapid hands the oars insatiably fell and rose, a south wind blew, and before it they reached the unwelcoming sea. They marked a holy acre there for Poseidon of the deep. And there was a red herd of Thracian bulls, and a hollow altar newly fashioned of stone. They were running toward deep danger and prayed to the Lord of ships, to escape the awful onset of the clashing rocks. Two they were, and alive, and they rolled swifter than the howling winds charged past. But that sailing of the sons of God brought them to an end. After that, they came to the river faces, and marched their might among the dark-faced Colchians in the very presence of Aeetes. But from Olympus, the queen of sharpest arrows, bound past Lucine, the dappled wryneck, to the four spokes of a wheel. She, the Cyprus-born, for the first time brought the maddening bird to men. She taught Aeson's wise son what sorceries he must chant, and Medea forgot to honor those who begot her, and her heart be all on fire for lovely Hellas, and tremble under the lash of love. She showed him at once how to achieve his father's tasks. With olive oil she made an enchantment against hard pains, and gave it to him from anointing. And they swore to make a sweet marriage one with the other. But when Aeetes dragged forth the adamantine plough in the midst of them, and the oxen who breathed from yellow nostrils a flame of burning fire, and hoof after bronze-shod hoof ripped up the ground, he took them and forced them to the yoke alone, and straight was the furrow that he ploughed as he drove them. He cast up the clods and clove earth's back a fathom deep, and thus he spoke. Let the king do this, the captain of the ship. Let him do this, I say, and have for his own the immortal coverlet, the fleece, glowing with matted skeins of gold. He spoke, and Jason threw off his saffron clothing, and trusting in God, essayed the task. And the fire did not make him flinch. Through the strange woman's words, that strong enchantress, he, grasping the plough, harnessed perforce the oxen's necks, and driving in those huge flanks the steady goad, with violence he achieved the appointed distance. And speechless though his grief, Aeetes howled in amazement at his might. To the mighty man his comrades stretched out their hands and gathered grass to crown him. With sweet words they caressed him. Then the sun's wondrous child told him where the shining skin had been stretched by Phrixus' sword, and there was a labor where he hoped he yet may fail. It lay in a snake's den, caught on the monster's raging teeth, that was thicker and longer than a ship of 50 oars made by the smiting iron. The journey is long on the high road. Time presses me, and I know a short path. In the wisdom of song I am the leader of many. He slew by cunning the snake with glaring eyes and bright-scaled back. O Arcesilas, he stole Medea, she willing, she who was Pelias' death. They came to the depths of ocean, to the Red Sea, to the land of Lemnians, women the slayers of men. There in bodily games they proved their might, a garment for the prize. And there they wedded. Then it was in foreign furrows, a day or a night, receive the destined seed of your house's sun-like fortune. For then the race of Euphemus took root. Growing thereafter, always higher, they mixed first in Lacedaemon's dwellings. They went to live in the island once called Loveliest. And after that, Leto's son gave you Libya's plain, for the gods love you to enrich and govern the holy city of Cyrene on her throne of gold. Since judgments and right counsel are yours, try now the art of Oedipus. If a man with a keen axe blade lops the branches of a great oak, defiling the beauty that men gazed at, though its fruit has perished, yet it gives witness of itself when it comes at last in winter to the fire, or rests on the upright pillars of a master, doing sad labor in a stranger's house while its own land is desolate. But you can heal in that very nick of time. You give light, and Paean adds honor to it. Stretch out a gentle hand to tend a sore wound. It is easy, even for weaker men than you, to shake a city, but hard indeed to set it back in the land, unless a god be suddenly there, the pilot of kings. For you, the web of these bright years is being woven. Have patience for the sake of Cyrene's happiness, to give it all your care. Remember a saying of Homer's, and cherish it. A good messenger, he said, heightens the honor of any errand. Even the muse's stature is more, if she be well reported. There was known in Cyrene, and to that most famous hall of Battus, a man of just heart, Demophilus, young in the eyes of boys, but in counsel an old man with 100 garnered years. He robs of loudness the slanderous tongue. He has learned to hate the insolent. He does not strive counter to the good. None of his purposes tarry, for very swift is the moment for a man. He has seen it. Time is his servant now, and not running away. They say there is nothing more sorrowful than to see joy and stand perforce outside. Atlas indeed still wrestles with the sky, far from his father's country and his possessions. Yet deathless Zeus set free the Titans. In time the wind sags, and we hoist new sails. But now he cries, he has done with foul illness at last, and he sees home. Near Apollo's fountain he shall lie at the feast, and yield his heart to youth often, and playing his painted harp, where men know music, shall touch the hands of peace, giving sorrow to none, and having no wrong from his fellow townsmen. And perhaps he will tell Arcesilas what a well of immortal words he found when lately a guest at Thebes. So that was Pythian number 4 for Arcesilas of Cyrene for victory in the chariot race.